All right, podcast number 3 of Wandering Off. Here we are. For this episode, I sat down with my brother, Harmen. And we know each other very well. We have a natural connection, so it's great to sit down with him, talk a little bit, see what comes by. Apparently my chair was very squeaky, so I switched it out at the beginning of the podcast. You will hear that. I could cut it out, but I thought it would be funnier to let it in, so I left it in. So there's some bullshit in there, but I think that's part of the experience, as they say. So my brother is doing social work, so he knows a lot of things about these way social things work, a lot more than me. It's very interesting to talk with him about it. I wrote some things down that I should say. Oh yeah, in the intro I am putting a song that we are talking about afterwards, so you can hear the song, so you have an idea what we're talking about. And we recorded the podcast on Women's Day, which is not very important, but I thought I'd mention it. It just happened to be like that. So, podcast with my brother, Harmen. I hope you enjoy it. And here is the song. Oh yeah, and one more thing. The song is still in progress. So, we're talking about what he could do with the song. So, you can keep that in mind. Dag Harmen. Oh shit. Hey Harmen.
Hey,
nice
Peter.
that you're. Well, we were already talking before, but
Yes.
we just started the recording. So.
Yes, should we do like proper sound check thing or
No, I already checked. It's all working. It's all fine.
nice?
Nice that you're here. To continue on where we were before, you were working on a song, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to put the song in the intro so you can hear it. And so what are the things that you were working on in the song that you like so far? You already told me, but you can tell it again so people know.
Well, I really like the drop because it's kind of grating and a little bit. It's actually in swing a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really a bit unusual for a drop.
Yeah.
So then that's why it hits, I think, in a kind of unexpected way, and I really like that. But I'm really struggling with the rest of the song because the intro, I was trying to work with contrast. So the intro is like kind of atmospheric, and then the drop comes out of nowhere. But actually, I don't think it really works that well because it's so unexpected that it's maybe a little bit.
I think the contrast could be bigger because the drop isn't that how do you say it? That crisp yet.
No.
It's like I don't remember exactly what is after it, but you really want to. You know, like you really wanted to have it a lot of body, because I think if I remember correctly that the thing before has less body, less.
Yes.
So I think if the drop has a lot more body, I think the contrast works, but it needs to be a lot bigger.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the drop is like I'm not sure if I can make it bigger.
Put a sub bass under it, maybe.
There is like a sub bass. There is.
Put a sub bass on your sub bass.
Yeah. sub bass. Nah, I think it. Yeah, I don't know. But it's just what I really noticed is that we were talking about inspiration before. That there is like this moment that you have inspiration for the song, and then you're working on it, and you're like, "Fuck this idea," and then this needs to come after this, and at some point you work on the song for such a long time, and then you kind of revisit it and listen to it again, and it cements itself in your head as the thing that it is. And then the inspiration is kind of fades. And I think that is where I am struggling now, that I'm just in my head I've listened to it too many times, so it's now finished, but there's actually a really like 40 seconds.
Yes. Well, that is interesting. I have the same problem, actually.
Yeah.
Now you say it, I'm like, ooh, that's actually a core of a problem that I have as well.
Yeah. How do you? How does it manifest itself for you? That problem.
How does it manifest itself for me? In the same way? I don't know what else.
I was trying to ask like an intelligent question. I really wanted to use the manifest. The word manifest.
Yeah, well.
I was like, how does it manifest?
Yeah, well, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no, but I do finish songs, so apparently I can do it. But you can do it as well. So when you finish a song, what is different?
A deadline.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like 99% of my songs are unfinished. The 1% I finished, I had like a deadline for something.
Yeah, that's funny, because I was talking with my teacher about that as well this week. You're a little bit far from your mic. That's too bad. Okay, wait.
I can move a little bit closer.
No, I know what we're going to do. We're going to put it. I'm just going to cut this part out. We're going to put it on this.
I think it should be in for the sake of total information transparency.
Oh, yeah.
You can really be in the room with us.
Yeah, especially now one of the mics is turned off. I think people should have maximum enjoyment of my minimal technical skills.
Yes. So who's this mic you keep talking about?
Don't. Okay. Wow, this feels so pro. Oh my god, look at me. I'm awesome. You half-heartedly agree with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always a bit tricky to... You're so amazing, Peter. If I say that, it sounds sarcastic. So it's better to half-heartedly agree. Thanks.
So
that's really in my face.
Yeah, well, it needs to be like that, otherwise it doesn't really catch your bass.
Okay.
Yeah, that's working.
Sure. I'll just sit here.
So that's funny. How you said you were talking about that you need a deadline, otherwise you don't do it.
Yeah.
It's I was talking with a teacher of mine about this as well. It's very similar for me. It's described exactly the same thing, that when I'm working, for some reason, I don't find it important. I don't find my own goals important enough to really put the effort in.
No.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And also I think the fun part of making a song or making anything is like the idea phase, where you're like really hyped about the idea.
Yeah.
And the finishing is like often a little bit less
more
inspirational, more grind.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, these details, I need to do like this very boring
Yeah.
task of doing this for 3 hours and then
Yeah.
finishing the song. I don't know. That's maybe also it. But
Yeah.
then when I'm finished,
Yeah,
it
but if you
always feels really good.
yeah, so
Yeah.
well, there's other stuff that you don't like
Yeah.
that you do. That you well, that's interesting. Are there other things that you don't like that you don't have to do that you just do? Not
Wait.
well, maybe
Yeah.
maybe working out or something. Working out is maybe similar, as
Yeah.
in that there's a part of the process that is a grind,
Yeah.
and then but the result is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No.
But if you do like a workout that's a little bit half-assed, you can still get like a pretty okay result sometimes if you do it consistently.
Yeah. Well, if you keep
Yeah.
working on a song half-assed,
Yeah.
you get also results if you do it consistently.
Yeah, true. That's true.
So, you are working out regularly,
Yes.
right? So how do you manage to work out regularly?
It's a habit, I think.
Mm.
That's why it really works. Maybe that's also a great solution for maybe finishing songs
Yeah.
or something. Make it into a habit, but that is a difficult thing. And I have one really short side note, but I think you should consider changing your chair for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Because this one is
making
noise.
noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to cut out.
This is podcast wildfire.
Yeah,
we are really
talking
changing
about
the game over here.
Yeah, talking about a grind, cutting all of the bullshit out of this podcast. Oh my god.
No,
Yeah.
I think you should do maybe a small segment of bloopers, like really short bloopers in between. And I also would highly recommend. If I may,
Yeah, if I may
add to your
decide how your podcast works.
fake commercials,
Oh,
like fake commercials.
Oh, I still have a fake commercial lying around.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. I also have one for you if you would like.
Oh yeah, het is weer aanbiedingstijd bij de winkel. En disco is weer hip, vandaar deze reclame. Koop spullen bij ons. Zweet, gedachten, gevoel, overdraagbare jaarwisselingswaarde. De nieuwe Kia Rio, de auto voor hem, haar en het. Auto's, autowegen, hard rijden. Versnelling, een nieuwe Kia. Heeft u ook zoveel last van nare geurtjes die blijven hangen in de kieren en tochten van uw huis? Ruikt u al hondenpoep voordat uw kind naar binnen is gelopen? Laat dan nu uw neus verwijderen bij Willems Plastische Chirurgie. Wij vergoeden, onze behandeling wordt geheel niet vergoed door de zorgverzekering, maar is wel goed en ver. Dat is een soort van wisseling met vergoed. Laat uw neus verwijderen bij onze kliniek en ontvang een gratis extra oor.
Oh,
That was like a fake commercial.
It's really nice.
Fake
People are
product.
going to be like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can advertise my new fake podcast.
Oh,
Because that's also a really big podcast.
what's the
trope.
name of your podcast?
No harm with
No harm done.
no harm done.
it's like 2 hours of people touching each other, looking each other in the eyes, and saying, "You are fine."
Yeah.
No, you are
Yes.
fine.
Yeah, we're very anti-aggression
Yeah.
and anti-humor. I don't know. But I think fake commercial would be really nice.
Very fake commercial would be really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what have you been working on lately?
I finished a second meditation track of 2 hours, but I didn't do the voice yet. I just made the composition. It's funny because all the time I think I know a lot of techniques, and every time when I start to do something intuitively, when I'm making a track intuitively, I find something that I don't know that I just apply because it works in the situation.
Yeah.
Because there's infinite possibilities of what you can do, and you think you know it, and then you actually know nothing. So in the end, the only thing that you had all along was intuition, the thing that you started with. But maybe you sharpen your sense of intuition in the process.
Definitely.
If you do it right, there's also processes with which you can dull it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think that really applies. Yeah.
You don't have to finish your sentence if you don't know what to say.
You don't have to criticize my sentence finishing if you have nothing better to say.
You're a mediocre podcast guest.
You're an incredible host, so that cancels me out really well.
You sound sarcastic. Still.
I don't know.
But
Do I?
What was it?
Yeah, also, a slight comment, maybe you should have mentioned that we're brothers or something.
Oh, no, I'll put that in the intro.
Okay.
Yeah. But what was going on with this song was...
Tell me more about yourself. Do you play guitar?
At this point, you're just trying very hard. The audience is not appreciating it.
I'm sorry.
So I made this song with a certain structure, and then I just took the same structure and I edited it a little bit so it got more consonant towards the end, and then I just slowed it down because it's a meditation track. So first it's like something like that.
Yeah.
Spread out over 20 minutes.
Yeah.
that's 20 minutes of material.
Do you have a plan of how you would like to maybe put it out, or do you want to like how to reach a certain audience for it or something?
Yeah, well, I do have lessons about that right now. So I specifically chose this project for that because I think it has value making these kinds of meditation tracks. Meditation tracks are really pretty terrible, generally speaking.
Yeah.
For some reason, the people that make meditation tracks are really bad at making them.
Yes.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I think a large portion of the people that use meditation tracks are probably pretty creative people. I think many people use meditation tracks to get more in touch with their intuition, to make stuff very often.
Yeah.
A lot of creative people that I know do that. So I don't know why there is this divide between people that use meditation tracks and people that make meditation tracks, but I am planning to close that divide.
Wow, that is a convincing speech.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
I had this really interesting experience of a friend of mine. She was really into meditation. Yeah. And she did this group, which I thought was really nice. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna host this meditation group, and then every day I'm gonna send you a meditation track, personal meditation." And then for 21 days or something. Yeah. And then I don't know if you know the phenomenon getting email, that you have to like send an email to 20 of your friends.
I think
she was in that. So
chainmail.
It was a chainmail. It was so the first day there was this meditation track and I did it, and the guy who did it, the music was terrible, and the guy, he was like,
oh, there's so much music we can put in here.
Really full of shit. He was like saying all these things that you should be really careful of who you listen to and whose words you take seriously. And it was also like he was doubting himself in the track, like he was describing.
Oh, there was speech over the track.
This was speech.
So
over
while
the track.
While you were trying to relax,
there was this guy who was kind of like bragging, and And also discrediting himself during the track.
While you're meditating, like, you should be careful who you're listening to. Like, the irony seems lost on him.
And then
for
he had this Indian accent, and then at one point he was like, sometimes opinions are presented as facts.
It was like brainwash meditation.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It was,
that's strange. Yeah.
I don't know. It was really, but it did not help me relax in any way.
Did she continue for the 21 days?
I think so, but she was pretty gullible. So
Mm.
she was super nice, but she was like, yeah, this is great. But I think, yeah, there was at the end of the meditation thing, there was this message, and which was like guilting you into also doing this because you had to, because you followed the
so you
whole
really
thing.
liked the idea. You thought it was an original
I thought it was
idea.
so nice of her, and then she was kind of roped into this thing, and then I had to, and yeah.
So what you are saying is that this might be a nice idea to spread my meditation track to people.
Yes. Great marketing plan.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good idea.
Yeah. I think, but the difficult thing is like, are people willing to pay for meditation tracks?
I don't know. I will see. Well, there's lots of music that people
Yeah.
are not willing to pay for.
No.
And I think if there's meditation tracks is one of the few kinds of music that have a very practical purpose.
Yeah.
Right now I'm thinking about music that's practical purpose, where you have meditation music, then you have maybe music that brings you in some kind of trance. So I think actually dance music when you play it at a festival also has very clear structure, actually similar to meditation music. Bring you in a certain kind of state
Trance,
of mind. Certain trance. Yeah. I think that's maybe the big thing about music, connecting the subconscious to the conscious. I think that's every time the thing with music. And then you have music to bring you maybe in a more positive state, and there's a lot of this music. That's like the majority of all music. It's just that. All pop. All popular music.
What does it say? Like, if you see the music that's out there as kind of a reflection of the unconscious of the society.
Yeah.
What does it say about our society?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is interesting. Yeah. I don't know if it works like that though, but the idea is very interesting.
Maybe a need that we feel or something.
Yeah, well, maybe the place where the money is. Maybe you can say something about that, because now we have the general public is like the big thing that you can earn money from. So you make music for the general public, but the music changes when the people that pay for the music change. So you had like the aristocracy at one point in the Renaissance that was paying for music when like the early Renaissance, when you have lots of dances, I think, stuff like that, because they were at court and they needed music to dance on. So then the music became dances. When the church was playing for music, you get a lot more this really transcendental music, you know, this which has that was pretty really nice.
That
yeah,
was really good.
Normally it doesn't go that well, but which has this very different kind of vibe. So I think maybe there's more to say for that. Maybe.
Yeah. So that the institution that holds the power.
Holds the money.
Holds
the
the
money power. Yeah.
Most
of the time they reside at the same place.
Yeah.
Did you read the Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I read it a long time ago, so I don't really remember a lot of it. I was a little bit too young when I read it. So I think a lot of the jokes were lost on me.
Yeah, when I read it back again when I was a little older, I also recognized more jokes that were there. But there's very funny. There's this guy where they separated power from money, or will to power. So there's the guy that runs the universe. Yeah. I don't know if you remember.
Kind of, vaguely.
And he sits in a hut on a deserted planet with a cat or something. And then really rich people come to visit him and they bring him, but he doesn't want anything. Sometimes they bring him food for his cat, and then he uses the food, and then that's it. Something. So he's like the most powerful man of the world, of the universe.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have any money. He doesn't want any power. He's just like only having the power, and it's never explained why.
No.
Yeah.
Something really fascinating about that. They do that a lot in that book. Also, as well, but I really like the cow. Do you remember the cow in the restaurant? That comes
No.
to like
Restaurant at the end of the world or something.
yeah, and then this cow shows up, and it's like explaining what kind of part of the hind leg is the most tasty. And that is like, I really love to be killed. Please eat me.
Are they, because they genetically modified the
Yeah,
cows
yeah,
really
yeah.
to. Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it then unethical to
Is
kill
it
a cow?
unethical? That's really interesting idea. Yeah, I need to read that book again, I think.
Yeah, it's a really cool book. Yeah.
Do you have any other book recommendations that you've read lately?
I'm busy with this book. Oh my god, we're only talking about me. I have this.
Yeah, it's also because like I'm my comfort modus is asking questions. So,
Yeah, every time when I want to ask a question, you're ahead of me.
Sorry.
So I will. No, that's fine. I'll just overrule you by social aggression.
Yes.
Yes, I have this book,
Comfortable.
which I still have to start in. There's a story in here that was so
Disturbing.
disturbing that I had to buy the book.
What's the name of the book?
Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk, who is the guy that also wrote the book that Fight Club is based on.
Nice.
The story that I'm talking about is Guts. Don't read it. And and I have 12 Rules for Life.
Nice.
By Jordan Peterson. So that's what I'm busy in right
Yeah.
now. So are you reading any books?
That's a very good question. I read a very.
It was aggressively asked.
Yeah. I'm just gonna ignore that.
Do you read books?
Sometimes. I read like a really interesting book, which was I don't remember the title exactly, but it was about nice guys. And I read it because it was at my work. I work as a social worker. It was on the shared desk somewhere. And I was like, this is interesting to read because maybe I can use it for one of my clients.
It was
And
about
then
nice guys. It was about
Yes.
a story of a nice guy, or was an analysis of.
It was written by a guy who had like a self-help group
Yeah.
for nice guys. And all these guys that they came in and they had like troubles with their wife, or they were like, I don't understand why they were like really annoyed.
Yeah.
Or they were having trouble having sex with their wife, or in their careers they were stagnating. And I was like, I'm gonna read this book for one of my clients because he has like similar issues. And then everything in the book was about me. And it was so horrible, and at the same time super liberating to read. But
Yeah.
there was so much stuff in there that I like immediately recognized that I did, and I read it in I think an hour. It was like so many pages, like 200 pages or something. I was like,
Yeah.
I went through it. It's like, fuck, I gotta read this, because some of the stuff that was in there was like about, for example, how you treat sex in relationship and how you assert yourself. For example, sometimes
Anything that you're uncomfortable about later, we can cut out of the podcast.
yeah,
so
I'm not
we'll-
uncomfortable
Yeah,
talking
okay,
about
yeah.
this, because it's fine with me. It was like it was for me. It was actually kind of liberating
Yeah.
to read, so it's fine. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But the one of the main things in the book is that you try to be like really nice and gentle or something, but it's only a surface thing, and you want something back for it. So you are like, oh, I'm so friendly to you, and I do all these things, and
Yeah.
then you kind of expect the other party to be
That's the
grateful.
core, no, of the nice guy.
Yeah.
That you expect something back.
You expect something back, and also you kind of silently start to hold grudges. And I really noticed that I do that.
How did you find out? You just thought about it and you recognized that it was there?
I recognized it immediately. I was like, fuck, that's me. And I recognized that some of that before, but I didn't really know where it came from. And now I think I understand a little bit better. It has some childhood connections.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Nice guy is something that I've never... I think it seems almost something that is only part of this age.
Yeah.
There's never before have I ever seen something about that, except things that are from these times.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't a character like that in old novels or something.
I think maybe it does exist, but it is... I think, what we were talking about earlier before the podcast is just very... It sounds like, because obviously it's International Women's Day, so it's like really men's issues. Sure, they're really important as well, but the thing is, it's a really confusing time to be a man. And I noticed now that I'm saying it, like I don't want to assert like men are struggling. Of course, a lot of groups are struggling.
Everybody's struggling. Exactly. Like I think
but
it's
you want
comparable.
But you want to be like a compassionate man and care about other groups, but then sometimes you go past yourself or something, and then you internalize something about yourself that you're inherently bad, or I don't know. Yeah, it's also that's exactly the same mechanism with which different racial groups or LGBTQ groups internalize things, but it's just weird to.
How do you mean? I do not know that mechanism very well.
There is when you grow up, there is kind of a public, in the public discourse, there are a lot of things said. For example, if you're homosexual, you kind of pick up at a certain time of these things of like, oh, it's kind of weird to walk like this.
Yeah. Or
you're
when someone calls someone else gay because something gay because it's strange or something. Yeah.
And then you start to these
subconsciously
things,
start to internalize these things connected. Yeah,
it's part of your socialization process. It's also
association,
taking on the culture kind of within yourself. And I think because the culture
and then you have a part of culture that is clashing with what is within yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is also happening to men now more than before, because men used to be the number one guys. And now we're really not anymore, so we're experiencing kind of the same things. And that is really uncomfortable, maybe also to realize in part it's in a small way what other groups also experienced for way longer time. Oh,
that's interesting. I never saw it like that I can relate to that in that way maybe a bit more, that I maybe can understand it a bit more.
At least that's how I understand it from my perspective. I don't know if it's with the knowledge that
I'm going to try to summarize what you just said so I understand it better myself.
Okay, that's a really good idea.
So what you're saying is, if I understand you correctly, is that you grow up, there's a certain way of looking at things within your culture, but you are also a certain way inside yourself just as you were born. And then you get used to these things inside the culture, and at one point they can start to clash with who you are inside, and that is difficult because it's a clash with yourself in a certain way, maybe.
Yes, and it's also, I think, at a certain point difficult to find out who you really are, because you are who you are when you find out who you are when you relate yourself to other people.
What does that mean, really? I don't know what that means.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's fine, but just explain yourself.
Well, the system of building an identity is that there are two forces at work there. In the psychology, they call it identification. So you identify with certain characteristics of groups, and then you also separate yourself from groups. So, for example, if you look at high school, there are a lot of people there. They're like, oh, I'm not like the gothics, or I'm not like the popular girls. It's like a separation thing. But I am like you guys, but not like her because she wears pink shoes. It's just very different than me, or something. Yeah. It's like you kind of...
You find who you are relatively to other people.
Yes.
So
you kind of embrace certain things of certain groups, and you reject other things. And that is how you find out, by doing that in process of like, this is part of me, and this is...
so you pick and choose of the things that you see.
Yeah, and you try them out a little bit, and then you over time you create kind of an identity. But if you were born in the woods and you were alone, you would not... Yeah, you would probably create an identity, but it would be very interesting to see, because because we're really group animals.
Yeah.
I don't know really how this conversation started.
No, it doesn't matter. I have to think about this guy that grew up with chickens. Did you ever see that?
No.
There's someone that grew up. I think it's probably someone who was really neglected. That his parents maybe let him be with chickens the whole time. But just someone who grew up until age that he could communicate. I don't know how old. And just had been with chickens all the time. So he acted like a chicken.
Wow.
Which is really strange.
Yes.
It's really like, how are these things possible in the world?
Yeah. This is like it's really dark that I find something funny about that. It's like about dark.
you were like, oh, that's really funny. Shit. I laughed.
Yeah, but that's like so super dark. But it's also like a guy acting like a chicken. It's like I don't know.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think that is... We were talking about the identity.
Oh yeah, how your identity is formed.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of how it works. So you hear about these groups, or you hear about man. What is a man? What is a man?
Yeah.
The real man.
So you try these things out and you see how they work for you.
Yeah. And you can kind of reject or accept them.
So, but
if you can,
then if you get some message very often, maybe you
accept that message.
Yeah, accept
even
that
though
message.
You are not.
Yeah,
like
even though you're
yourself.
not sure if it's completely working for you or not,
Yes.
because you hear the message just so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can also not try out everything, so you just try out stuff, and some stuff you just accept, I guess. Yeah.
I think so. But then at a later age you might become aware of what kind of things you accepted in the past.
Yeah.
And then you can reevaluate them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm going through now a little bit.
Yeah.
And you too, I think.
Yeah. It's funny. I just yesterday I saw a video by Charisma on Command. He was talking about the 4 stages of becoming a man. So first you have boyhood.
Yeah.
And then you have no idea.
Early adulthood.
Like you just don't have no idea. Then you meet someone who is a mentor for you, or maybe society, or you meet people who are a mentor for you. But like for the sake of this, it's just one person. But it's, I think, an abstraction of the people around you. Then you learn from that person, and you just copy that person. Then at one point your beliefs start to fall apart. That's stage 3. Your beliefs start to fall apart because you do these things and you find out that they don't work completely, or they don't work completely for this person. And then you are in a 4th stage of really finding out things yourself, and you can adopt the things that are fundamental about masculinity that have been stable over time, because you find them out yourself and you adopt this for yourself.
Yeah. I think that is really crucial that you said that, like, for yourself. Yeah. Because I think that is the key.
Well, there's certain characteristics, I think, that are so funny that we're talking about this on Women's Day. But,
the irony is not lost on me.
I think there's certain characteristics that are timeless about masculinity. I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What kind of characteristics?
I think the characteristic being able to be a leader.
Having a penis.
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Irrelevant. It's about how you feel. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
No,
okay,
sorry.
I don't know
No, sorry.
what that means exactly. No, but I do not dare to go into that discussion because I genuinely do not know the answer about that discussion.
No.
But
But I think it's interesting that you mentioned leadership.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's probably people that don't agree with me on this.
No, I don't. I really don't know. I really don't know, because, like, in some book that I read about people in prehistory, there were also, for example, men and women didn't used to blend together as much. They were kind of more a women's group that had their own leadership, and a men's group that kind of had their own leadership.
Oh, whoa!
Yeah.
Super interesting.
Yeah. So I really don't know if there is
Imagine that we would organize our society like that.
Yeah.
That would be madness. That would be really weird. 2 ministries in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
One for the women, one for the men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ministry
There is
of
this
men,
guy-
Ministry of women.
There's this guy I listened to on a podcast yesterday, and he was on the Free Economics podcast, and he had this idea of all of the black people migrating to 9 states, and then just kind of starting their own states within the United States with their own leadership, and in the way that they have state leadership, they can influence the leadership of the country as well, because they have more power if they have state power. State power is really big in the United States. So he kind of had this idea, but
Sounds
then
also
not men,
incredibly
women, but then-
racist. It sounds racist. I'm not saying that it is racist. It sounds incredibly racist.
Yeah, it was. I was a little bit torn on it because he was a very good speaker, very eloquent, and it sounded like
The best idea ever.
The best idea ever.
Yeah,
But then
when
stopped
someone is
listening to the
saying
podcast,
something and it feels like the best idea ever, always, when I'm done, I'm always like, that sounded like the best idea ever.
Yeah.
No idea is good enough that it feels like the best idea ever, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, but this was definitely not the best idea ever. Because I don't know, he kind of conflated the separation of the two races, that they're with the fact that they're now kind of blended together with domination. So he thought that the black power could only be really strong
Solidified.
if they're also solidified as a group. But I think the risk of that is that you kind of create these images of each other because of the separation that are not based on reality, and then you,
it's difficult. I was well, it's really like we're talking, and now I'm just like, oh yeah, this happened yesterday, all of this is connected to what we're talking about.
Oh,
It's amazing.
interesting.
Sometimes I feel like I'm not able to talk about anything, and now in these moments I'm like, how was I not able to talk about anything?
Yeah.
Because there's infinite possibilities for conversations.
Yeah.
But
You just have to have a point where to start.
yeah,
I mean, we started with a song, and then this conversation went completely out of the way.
yeah, nuts. Yeah.
But it's, I'm very interested in what you have to say. So
I was talking with someone on Facebook, a friend of mine. Actually, we reacted to a post of someone that someone made a post that was really horrendously bad. like it was about COVID,
yeah,
and then it said, well, there's also like a picture. There's also 660 people dying in traffic in the Netherlands each year. So don't ride your car and stay at home. And then it was like, okay, well, how many people do die a year of COVID with the restrictions? Oh, 16,000 people with the restrictions.
yeah,
That's more,
yeah.
a lot more. So, well, someone reacted on that, and and she didn't appreciate the reaction, I think, although we were really trying to.
Was it someone you knew?
Yeah, someone I know. Yeah, but not someone that I spoke to for a while.
No.
but someone that I could get along with. Okay,
Yeah.
but she was not really appreciating the comments, although they were really not. I didn't comment it, by the way, because I decided not to send it because I was like, I'm not going to take on this conflict. But then someone else also noticed that it was a bullshit post, so he reacted the same thing that I wanted to send.
Yeah.
And then she nitpicked one part of the argument. So then I joined in and I said, well, it's not about that. It's about that you shared something which you were not knowledgeable about.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but then it should be pointed out, because that makes things better. Well, she still didn't really appreciate it, but
wow, what a surprise!
but that's it is surprising, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, I thought that people would really love that. If they are like, if they find out they're like.
There's so many things wrong with talking in Facebook posts. One, people are not sending messages very quickly to explain themselves again and again. Like in a chat, you can send 3 messages after the first message to explain yourself. Yeah. You don't do that in posts because posts are a little bit more definite. Second, everybody's watching, so you feel like you have to protect your pride.
Yeah.
And third, you're not talking in person, which is obvious, which is with the digital world. So these are things I think that make Facebook posts literally the worst medium ever to communicate about things. So that's why I decided not to
create a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And that is
nice for some people that are looking for drama.
Yeah. And drama creates views.
Yeah.
So that is also.
Yeah. So well, that's why I didn't want to send the message in the first place.
Yeah.
But then the conversation didn't really go anywhere. So I sent him a message and I said, "Well, we're thinking similarly." Just a really long story to come back about the racism thing. It's just going way off, just for fun.
Yeah. Sure.
And then I said to him, "Well, we were talking. We were actually same thing, blah blah blah." I also looked it up, and they were talking. And at one point, because he's also gay. So we were talking, and then he kind of got that subject into the conversation. A little bit obvious. I think he just wanted to talk about it, and I was like, "Well, I do not mind talking about it," so I just joined in about that topic.
What did he
well.
say? What was his point? Well, because I don't see how the subject of homosexuality fits in.
No, it didn't. We were the conversation was ending a little bit.
Okay.
And we were talking to people on Facebook. We were talking about that, and the conversation was dying out a little bit. And he said, "Actually, recently I've been very busy with how people react to homosexuality." Like it was like, okay, it kind of connected, but also something that he wanted to talk about, I think. Yeah. So then I was talking with him about it, but it is
still on the Facebook post.
No.
Okay.
I left the Facebook post after 2 messages and just chatted with him one-on-one.
Okay.
So this was all not in the Facebook post. It was just I just sent like 1 message in the Facebook post. But then I was talking with him, and what I find so difficult about the discrimination thing in all forms is that you have a certain mindset within people that is wrong. That's the start. Like racism, for example, it's just wrong. It is nice that there was research on if people are actually less intelligent of different races, because it could be. It could actually be like that.
Yeah.
But it is not like that.
No.
So it is proven that racism, on multiple levels, doesn't work. Although black people can run faster for some reason.
Yeah, but there is actually a guy who researched that.
Yeah.
But his research is very, I don't know,
sketchy.
There are a lot of things that are, I don't remember exactly, but there was some shit that was not. Yeah. The numbers he used were not okay or something.
But
I don't know. That is the interesting thing what you say now is like, but black people can run faster for some reason.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's also okay that there are changes.
That there are differences.
Well,
in IQ there are no differences because they discovered that. So that's why I name it. I don't know about the other things.
No, but that would be interesting. Do you know where that research is? Because I would really love to.
There's so many things I have to look up after this. Wait,
we need a fact checker.
Yeah, IQ checker. Oh, ik moet
Nou,
zoveel
we can do
uitknippen.
that.
Yeah, but I have lots of things that I want to... I just have to re-listen the whole podcast, I guess. For
Sure.
all the things. Because there's a lot of things that I need to check that I was saying. I know. There's like already 5 things that I need to check.
There's
so I have
this
to re-listen to it.
podcast that I know, the Freakonomics guy. Do you listen to him sometimes?
No, well, I was actually still making a point.
Ah, okay.
So I'm not completely done.
No.
So maybe you, do
I'm
you
not
have
gonna
to connect
sidetrack
it
you.
right now?
Well, they do a really nice fact-checking thing after the thing. Where they listen to the whole conversation, and if someone got something wrong, or the titles of the books and stuff, they mention it. So then people can look it up.
Well, I wanted to do something like that.
So you can have an organic conversation and then still...
Yeah, also something like that. When you named a book that you didn't know the title of, I wanted to have that title, for example, you know, stuff like that. Yeah. So I was talking with him. What is for a race, for example, which is just wrong. Like it doesn't work like that. But people think for some reason that someone is less when they're black, for example, in America. Just to name an example. So you have to change that. So maybe you have to push really hard, which is the thing that is done mostly as a tactic, I think. Push really hard. Black people are part of this community. Mm-hmm. We are, we matter. We are, and fair enough. But also, when you have to push it like that, at one point, I noticed lots of things you're not allowed to do anymore.
Yeah.
While the intention is right. Like a friend of mine was talking a little while ago, and she was from a different part of the Netherlands, just like a small village. So she was talking about black people. So she said like there was a nigger here and here, and someone else is like, you're not allowed to say this. Not someone who was black, but so they're like, you can't say this. You really can't say this. So then I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. But then you have to wonder if now she has to pay attention all the time.
Yeah.
That she doesn't say it because it's in her system. Yeah. So is she less racist when she is walking on eggshells all the time?
Or is she thinking about race a lot more?
Yeah.
But then, the question is like, I don't know, man. I really don't know.
No,
I saw this interview with Morgan Freeman one time, and he got a question asked about race, and he kind of refused to answer or something because he just didn't want to talk about it because he didn't want
to perpetuate the way of thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is the thing.
He also said about black. I think there's also a black celebration day or something in America.
Yeah.
I think that was him.
Yeah.
That he was also like, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. He seems like kind of stern and not really that friendly in interviews.
I think he's honest in a very direct way, and he has the stability to back it up.
Yeah,
he's not reliant. He's not reliant on any program.
No.
Yeah, it's also I also saw an interview with I think it was with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And there was an interviewer, and then the interviewer said like, black people, and Samuel L. Jackson said, well, how else would you say it or something? And it was like, well, I don't want to say it. It's fine. I think it was really something that you couldn't get around using the word nigger, you know? So like, when people call you the N-word, what do you feel? Like, what is the N-word? Like, not comfortable with that. Say it. Like, no, I don't. Say it. You know, like, I want you to say it. And the interviewer was like, no, I really don't want to say it on live TV. And like, a black man is like, say the fucking word to me. So it's like, what is going on here? Yeah. Is this racism? You know, like.
That dynamic is super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should rename this the Two White Guys Talking About Race podcast.
I think actually we could do every podcast. The two of us, I think we have enough to talk about for like 10 podcasts or something.
Yeah, that's really interesting. But you started your conversation with that he interjected his homosexuality into the conversation.
Yeah.
And I was really wondering You were going to tell a story about that.
No, it was just I just said something about that.
Okay.
That was we were finished about the conversation about COVID, and then he said like, oh, also I'm busy with is how people treat this with homosexuality. And he also said something about the church and homosexuality, that if you let's see, what did he say again? That if you are angry at the church for being negative against the Christian church against for being negative against homosexuality, that you're hitting Christian homosexuals twice as hard.
Wait, what?
Hey, is it? I want to say his words, not mine, but I don't know its literal words anymore. But
wait, I have to diffuse that one in my mind. Too critical for me. I really don't understand.
He said
this.
like if you say that against, yeah, well, it doesn't make that much sense when I think about it right
I
now.
really don't understand what it means.
Neither do I. I think we're not allowed to laugh about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to another podcast. I really like the Zelfhulp Boekenclub podcast.
Yeah, you sent it to me. I didn't
Yeah.
check it yet.
There is this
Was
guy.
too busy recording my own podcast.
Ooh.
Oh,
So
very cool,
gangster.
Peter. Yeah.
But they had this guy on, and he had this self-help book for people who are homosexual,
Yeah.
and that was really interesting. The book was called Fluwele Woede. In English it's something else, and it was also like super good. And then this morning, the mother of my girlfriend, she told me this story about this kid in Belgium who was violently murdered and stabbed because he was gay,
Yeah.
like yesterday or something. And they had this fake contact ad for like a hookup, and 2 teenagers, they killed this guy in Belgium. I was really surprised by that.
You mean that what happened in Belgium?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also I don't know. That was really weird. For me. Not, but I didn't think that it. Yeah, I don't know. I sometimes feel like lately there was this tolerance thing going on in Europe and kind of the world, like, oh, we're going to be a great tolerant thing, but it's kind of receding now a little bit. I also noticed it because of the Peterson social justice warrior shit, and everything's a little bit more.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I also feel, I'm also, there's so many perspectives to give on this, and everybody does it in a different way, but I also feel like some corners of the acceptance part could be getting a little bit extremist.
Yes,
from
that also as well, but that's exactly what you said before, is that the extreme reaction of like, we are allowed to be here, also maybe incites like a reaction from the other side.
Yeah.
But we are also allowed to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You're both allowed to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and then it is.
Which also relates to music, in the sense that everything comes in waves.
How is that connected to music? I said the music thing. I really was forcing this to bring it back to music. Because like a sine wave, it goes with these ebbs and flows. And about things that are high and spiky. Which are the waves of music. I'm going to insert this exactly like it was also in the Facebook conversation. Nice. You already feel an aggressively introduced topic coming up.
I'm really curious about this topic.
So, talking about things that are high and spiky.
I feel like there is like a sexual joke going, but there isn't there?
My libido has been acting up lately.
I've been having these weird erection issues.
High and spiky. I don't know if that's healthy, man. I don't know if that's something that you should do in a podcast. I think that's more for doctors, kind of. Oh, fuck, now I have 2 topics that I want to talk about. No. Okay, well, I'm going to leave the really strange topic in the back of my head. Well, it's not strange, but it's unrelated. Someone asked me to help record a podcast about medical mistakes.
Okay.
But first she was talking about with a housemate of mine because he wanted to do something else for her and she wanted to pay for it. And I already heard from him that her first question was, do you have any family that is working in healthcare?
Fuck.
Which is, well, for information, how do you translate huisarts?
General practitioner.
Okay, yeah, my dad is general practitioner. My mother works in general healthcare. Yeah. My sister works in healthcare. So
I even work in healthcare.
You even work in healthcare.
But
in a certain way. Yeah, different way. So, I heard it from my housemate. I was already like, oh no, this is not going to work. So next time she called me and I was talking with her and I also told her about the fact that my parents work in healthcare. But she has a really, well, I don't know, that's personal, I think, so I won't talk about it that much. But she's very,
she critical?
What?
Is she critical about the healthcare
Yeah,
system?
she's critical, but she's also biased because she was influenced herself by a medical mistake. So it's difficult. It's also good that someone is talking about it, but I could also feel that she was a little biased from my perspective. Yeah. So it's a little bit like, and then I got in a little bit of a, not really, like we're not really disagreeing because she was a very nice person. It was really nice to talk to her and she was, a very civil conversation, but I was feeling that underneath the conversation there was just a fundamental difference in views that we were not going to solve. Yeah. And she was feeling that as well. So after the conversation, we were both like, okay, well, maybe someone else should work in this partnership. Yeah. You should look for someone else to work for you.
Always really interesting conversations, though. I had this when I was, I think, 12 years old. I was playing in a soccer team, and there was this guy. He came up to me. He was like, "Because of your dad, my mom died of cancer."
Whoa!
And that was really, really weird.
That's absurd.
I really didn't know how to feel about that.
That's the most absurd thing I've ever seen.
That was and I felt like
that could be an
like
absurdistic.
I should apologize or something, but and then I was like, oh, what happened? Yeah, my mom with cancer, and your father said that that there was nothing, there were no signs, and then she came back later and she had cancer, and he was wrong, and we always thought that she had cancer, and I found myself in this really weird position where I was like defending something that I knew nothing about. And also kind of defensive because it's your father being attacked for something. Okay, man. Shit for your mother.
What I also found difficult about this argument was that she said, well, doctors, when they make a mistake, they cover it up, and there needs to be more.
That's pretty generalized.
Well, generally they cover it up. She said something like that, and just to save themselves and blah blah blah, and then that has to change. But then I thought, well, if they really need to cover it up, I don't know exactly, but if it's really that bad that they have to cover it up, isn't there something wrong with the system? Because I really think that doctors are people that are generally very, how do you say it? They have a very strong moral code why they are here. They have a very strong direction that they have to be there, that they want to help people. So if the doctors are doing something that is strange, if they are doing something like that, that's like her theory, shouldn't you look somewhere else instead of putting more pressure on the doctors? Because literally just saying you are doing it wrong and you have to do it better is really easy, and also just creating more workload and more stress for the doctors.
And I'm also really wondering about if she knows how tight the procedures are for doctors. Like everything they do is based on statistics, and they actually don't really make a lot of decisions that are not based on scientific information. So there is this what was really interesting. It used to be different, and then there were like a lot of doctors who's like, oh, I'm gonna give this amount of this to this person.
We'll see. Yeah.
And
but too many doctors were trying things out. One doctor has to try something out, or a lot of people in a good research, not doctors individually.
And there's always like, for example, this medicine works for 80% of the people. Yeah. And then they know that it is the best medicine they have. But maybe the other medicine would have worked for that particular person.
Yeah. But they just make statistically the best choice.
Yes. And they really have a pretty tight system in that. And of course, people are humans and medical mistakes happen. Yeah. But it's and probably there are some cases where things went really badly, and I don't want to like be insensitive about that, but I don't know. I think, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a difficult subject.
How do you design a perfect healthcare system where nobody ever makes a mistake?
Yeah, it is you have to make mistakes in a healthcare system. Yeah, I think even with all the procedures and everything, sometimes you have to. I think that's the reason why doctors are there. Otherwise, we had a digital system. We don't have a digital system, so there's something more going on. The doctors have to have a certain feel. There's like this intuition going on as well. Like one time I heard our father say that sometimes at one point when you're really experienced, you can see someone walk in and they have like, I don't know, blisters on their leg, and that's the symptom of something, but they have pants on, but when they walk in, you know that that's a disease. Wow. Because
you've seen that a certain
because you have a feel for it, you have an intuition for it. I think the human part is what makes it possible to go beyond a digital system and to go beyond something when it is not that straightforward, which also happens often, I think. But you have to have medical mistakes then as well.
There's actually a really interesting effect. I think it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, but I'm not sure if that's the correct one. Where people who have been practicing a certain specialization for a long time, they make more mistakes than people who are really new.
Now, Dunning-Kruger is something else. Dunning-Kruger is when you know very little about something, you can think that you know a lot about it because you have no idea. Yeah. So Dunning-Kruger is something else.
But there is this effect where people who are really specialized, and I think they even tested it in medical communities, they make more mistakes because they also assume a lot of things because they are very experienced, and sometimes they don't. They
do the steps conscientious enough.
Yeah. It's also part of being human, of course, but
that's interesting. I also find it interesting how sometimes there's doctors that are really specialized. Sometimes there's really big hospitals where they're really specialized in very strange, difficult procedures. So the really extreme cases go there. So these doctors are really good at these cases because they get them all the time. But you shouldn't give these doctors the regular operations like surgeons or something because they're not used to it, so they're more used to the really strange cases than the regular ones. So actually you're better off with a doctor if you have a regular thing with a surgeon that just does the normal stuff than with the really specialized surgeon, because he's not better, he's just more specialized.
That is really interesting. How did you find it to grow up like in a household where everyone is like a medical expert?
Yeah, it's
How did you experience that?
Well, it's nice that I'm not the only one that experienced it here, so you can add some things to my experience. It felt, I don't know, you're not really conscious of it when you grow up. I think your environment is the status quo, I think. Yeah. So you just accept whatever is there. Yeah. But I think when I look back, I think our parents have a lot of perspective on things. Yeah. Also because they went to Africa at one point, and also because they're doctors. I think
they see a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the perspective on things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is a really good point. And also the conversations about medical stuff during dinner.
Yeah. Like, and then our sister went to study it as well, and then it was like het hek van de dam, to say it like
the
that.
Floodgates.
Yeah, the floodgates were opened. Like, she could finally join in with their exclusionary. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think part of why I started doing social work is also part of that is because I found it really interesting, but also because I wanted also to be part of it in some way. Because you also like help people with stuff and yeah.
I'm sometimes a little bit jealous of the fact that you can so exactly help people.
I can't. I can't help people.
Well, you're as close to the fire as you can be.
Nah, I don't know. The more I learn about discipline of social work, the more I realize it's just not people are the way people work is they have to do work themselves in order to grow, and you can kind of facilitate it a little bit, but it's really in the margins actually. It's
which is also a good message, which means that if you want to change, you don't need all these crazy resources necessarily to do it. It's more your willpower to really want to change.
Yeah,
maybe
willpower is a part of it, I think, and but it's really difficult to muster willpower every day.
Yes. It's not easy.
No,
but you have the tools.
Yeah, you can learn, like, for example, how to. That's I think something you've been doing over the last years, creating habits.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and then there is like this avalanche that starts to roll. Like, oh yeah, I'm reading a book every few months or this, and I'm learning new things and applying them, and then really interesting. Yeah.
Well, I think that's it actually.
Yeah?
I think, it was a really nice conversation. We have 1 hour of conversation.
That's nice.
That's really nice. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
TransSecure, de veilige en goedkope oplossing voor uw bedrijf. Leveringen, bijzonder transport en grote zendingen van pakketten, wij regelen het voor u. Snel, betrouwbaar en overzichtelijk. Nu, leveringen binnen Europa, binnen 3 dagen en zonder administratiekosten. Wauw! Kies voor TransSecure. Betrouwbaar transport voor een betrouwbaar bedrijf. Er is nu ook een TransSecure app. Wow. Veilig en betrouwbaar zoals u van ons gewend bent. Download de app nu op transsecure.app.
All right. Whew. I have a list of things that I need to go through. Let's see. First I have the author of the book that we were talking about. Yes, the book is called No More Mr. Nice Guy. As we were talking about, it's a book about nice guys, about people that I think could be more in touch with their own feelings and be more expressing of that. And actually, it's easy for me. I just sit on the sidelines and I nod and I say like, yeah, so what do you think about it? But when he was talking about it and I listened back to it, I realized that I also could have said that it definitely is part of me, that I sometimes am not completely honest with other people and with myself, and not expressing myself fully. And I'm working on that, but I definitely have some nice guy traits as well. So I think this could also be a really good book for me, actually. And what is really funny is, so interesting, I was talking with my brother about this book, and I'm also busy about who I am as a man, and what role I want to play, and how I can develop myself further. So sometimes I look at videos about this, and like a day after, I also saw a video come by of this guy that wrote No More Mr. Nice Guy, Robert Glover. Yeah, it's strange. It's interesting. It's really interesting topic. I'm definitely not done with this topic yet. I think there's a lot more to discover there. So I double checked the facts on COVID and traffic deaths. Let's see. I took traffic deaths of 2019 and 2018 because I think there might have been some changes with COVID in 2020. So I didn't want to use these statistics yet. So the traffic deaths, that is road traffic fatalities in the Netherlands between in 2018 and 2019. That means people that died while being on the roads. It's 678 in 2018 and 661 in 2019. Okay, well, we're in the last month, but we're just in April now. COVID started in the Netherlands around the beginning of March, so we're a little more than a year and a month, and in this time 16,000 people have died from COVID. So that is so yeah, I want to say so much fold increase, but I have no idea. My mathematics is not good enough for that. But definitely not comparable to the around 650 people that die in traffic each year. So that is why I thought the post that she made was bullshit. All right, race and IQ. It's an interesting one. In the beginning of the IQ tests, they did observe some differences between race and IQ, but the IQ tests were not completely developed yet, and there were some problems, which is that they saw lower values in Afro-American and they saw some differences between Afro-American people and American people in the IQ tests, but the problem was that many of the Afro-American people didn't have the education that Caucasian American people had. So there was a difference there that was not properly taken into account. So that made in the beginning that IQ was an argument for racism, but all these claims have been rechecked and nothing about it is true. So these days it is the overwhelming opinion, it's broadly accepted by scientists that IQ is not different between different races, and let's see. There's also doubts if race is actually a thing, like it is a social thing, but if it's actually a biological thing. So that's what I have on IQ and race. Let's see. Next we were talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect, which was not the effect that my brother was talking about. The Dunning-Kruger effect is actually that when you don't know a lot about something, you can think that you know a lot because you have actually no idea what you're talking about. The effect that my brother was talking about is the July effect. Let me read this for a moment. Okay, so the thing is, the effect is called the July effect. And that's because in July is when the new interns that are fresh from the medical school start in the medical field. So you have more green people, so to say. So there could be more mistakes. And some studies do show that there might be more mistakes in July. But there's also the counter thing, which is that some mistakes do not get made by these fresh interns because they follow the rules very tightly. And there's also some mistakes that are made more by very experienced doctors because they see things a lot and they fall prey to being tricked by their own minds. There's biases that they're, for example, let's see. That they're so used to using their own knowledge instead of the knowledge that has been set out, that they make mistakes in that regard. For example, they think they have to do something while maybe the rules would say, okay, just wait and see it out. Maybe they think, no, but I know better. This person probably has this. Let's do an operation. But actually the operation was not the better choice, like statistically. So maybe the interns would make a better choice there. And there's a couple of these things that a doctor can think in a certain in the direction of a certain diagnosis and then ignore signs of another disease because he thinks he already knows what it is. So that's what I have to say about the July effect. It's interesting. These are complicated things. Yeah, nice. That's it. Well, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I certainly did. It's also confronting to have to check all the bullshit that you say in a conversation. But it's good. I mean, it's so easy to not do it. It's really good to, for once, really check very exactly all the stuff that we say. I hope you enjoyed the podcast as much as I did. I think this was a great conversation. I'm really happy to catch up with my brother a little bit. And thank you very much. And hopefully see you in the next podcast.